Most people know the photos and the accusations,
I don't sweat.
but very few people have actually looked at the communication timeline behind the scenes. I've reconstructed the full timeline using every available email between Epstein and Andrew to discover how a pampered Playboy prince was used by Jeffrey Epstein and see Andrew's in-time reaction to the consequences that destroyed his public life. Andrew Albert Christian Edward was born February the 19th, 1960 in London. He was the third son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. He was said to be the Queen's favourite son, and of course, being a royal, he grew up around extreme privilege, also in a time where the royal family was still very important politically, globally. He was said to be spoilt and lacked self-awareness and picked up many nicknames over the years, a few being Randy Andy and Air Miles Andy. It was clear he was addicted to status and the luxury lifestyle that being a royal gave him, and he clearly thinks the rules don't apply to him, which will be made very clear by some of these emails. He joined the Royal Navy and served as a helicopter pilot during the Falklands War in 1982. His military service helped establish him as a legitimate public figure, not just a ceremonial royal. His credibility later made him a useful representative for British interests abroad. Andrew wasn't just born into privilege, he was being trained to represent the state itself. In 2001, around the same time he met Epstein, he was made trade envoy in the UK. He was essentially a special representative for international trade and investment opportunities abroad, and this gave him access to a lot of powerful people, be it presidents, world leaders, billionaires, CEOs of companies, and he definitely abused this role, as we will see. But he also had access to sensitive commercial and political information. These three things he had: access, legitimacy, and information, made him very useful to Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew said in the infamous Newsnight interview that he met Epstein in 1999 through Ghislaine Maxwell. And through the Epstein files, we can track this relationship that he had with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, starting exactly where I've just mentioned, in 2001, where he first got the trade envoy role. The first emails involving Andrew use a pseudonym name, the Invisible Man, and he emails Ghislaine Maxwell back and forth. The first email appears on the 20th of March 2001, and he emails Ghislaine planning a trip to the US in April. He's asking for a bed for the night and closes with masses of love, A, kiss, kiss, kiss. It's clear from this message that they already have an established relationship. This isn't the start of their relationship in 2001. I wonder if perhaps they have changed correspondence. He's using a new email now, and we don't have any access to the old ones, or perhaps the DOJ haven't included emails before this. But it is also a point to point out that maybe data centers were wiped. These older emails aren't stored. But yes, this is where we start. March 2001, with a clearly already established relationship. We then fast forward to the 16th of August 2001, where they talk about family for a moment, and then Andrew asks, "How's LA? Have you found me some new inappropriate friends? Let me know when you're coming over, as I'm free from the 25th of August until the 2nd of September. I want to go somewhere hot and sunny with some fun people before having to put my nose firmly to the grindstone for the fall." We're 2 emails in, and we already, come on, read between the lines. I don't need to spell it out for you. I will say hot and sun. I want to go somewhere hot and sunny with some fun people. That has to be the island, right? And inappropriate friends, I don't need to explain what he's trying to say there. I mean, let's just try and deduce, 2 days later, on the 18th of August, Ghislaine replies, "I'm so sorry to disappoint you. However, the truth must be told. I have only been able to find appropriate friends. We'll let you know about some church meetings on those dates." And already we have code. Church meetings? What the hell is church meeting? Let's not speculate. Let's just stick to facts, because later on in this video, we just have enough facts that are damning enough. We don't even need to speculate. Andrew then replies the same day, saying, "Distraught, you probably wouldn't know, but I lost my valet on Thursday." He goes on to say how he lost one of his drivers and members of the team. He says, "If you have any good ideas on how to get my mind back on track, I'd be grateful for advice. See you soon. I hope you're coming over. A kiss, kiss, kiss." We then fast forward to February 2002, which is quite the jump because we don't have any data of text messages or call logs between the two of them during this time period, but I can almost guarantee they are probably staying in touch. But the email we have from February 2002, they're planning a trip to Peru together. Notably here, Andrew says, "As for the girls, well, I'll leave that entirely up to you and Joan Esteban." Joan Esteban seems to be another member of staff for Jeffrey Epstein. We can then assume Andrew had to leave this Peru trip early, as in March the 21st, Ghislaine emails saying she's sorry that she missed Andrew as he had to leave early under sad circumstances. We can assume this is the death of the Queen's mother, which would have been his grandmother, as this literally happened the day before this on the 20th of March 2002. On the 25th of September 2002, Ghislaine then invites Andrew to the island yet again. Andrew, however, does turn down the offer this time, as he says he's going to spend time with his own kids. Surprising. Ghislaine teases him with no problem, Redacted, who is now coming with 5 other stunning redheads. We'll just have to play with ourselves. Andrew replies, I'm very sad at not coming to join you, but I'm so glad to be able to see more of my kids. The compensation is justified. But whatever, I love you and I'm longing to see you when either you or I are in the same part of the world. This is just a bit odd. This makes me think maybe their relationship is more than friends. Longing to see you, I love you. I feel like that's like beyond what you would say to a friend, even if you love your friends and you tell your friends you love them. Longing to see you, it's almost got like a romantic tone to it. So I don't want to speculate too much in this video because, like I said, there's so much just concrete evidence here. We don't need to speculate, but I'm going to throw it out there. Maybe they were more than friends. He then states that he'll be in New York in September and October and that they should meet up. And another weird ending to this email. So I look forward to catching you before you disappear off to some exotic place. Please don't catch anything nasty on your travels. Masses of love and thanks. A. Kiss, 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 kiss. Don't catch anything nasty on your travels? Is that because he has some kind of sexual relationship with her and he doesn't want to catch anything nasty? I don't know. Again, let's not try and speculate. Now, even though they were planning on meeting in September and October, we actually don't have any emails for September and October. We skipped to December. So this makes me think that they definitely are communicating through either a different email address, the emails haven't been published by the DOJ, or they are messaging, texting, or talking on the phone. But skipping forward to Christmas Eve, the 24th of December 2002, now, this is redacted who it's sent to, but Andrew sent someone an email. I'm going to assume this is the first email he sends to Epstein. He says, I do believe that tomorrow is of some significance to you. I'm not emailing about that, but something else that I thought you ought to know, seeing as you are into gossip, and I think it might have some for you. I last spoke to you when Carol R was coming over to see you, and you mentioned something about a man called George C. Well, I've been sending around electronic Christmas cards recently, and apart from sending you one, I sent one to Carol, and she came back this weekend with another piece of the puzzle. She saw Mr. C, and she says at the premiere of his new movie on Thursday that they managed to hither, her word, to each other, and apparently no one can hither like Mr. C. Now, this indiscreet bit is the bit I don't understand. She said she was going to licky palm with him. What is licky palm? Is this something I must try someday? Whatever, sending you love today, ... A, kiss, kiss, kiss. Now this is just weird. Reading this gave me chills. Licky palm. I can take some guesses at what licky palm are. Perhaps fellatio. And I've done some looking around to who these characters could be, and I don't want to besmirch someone. George C could be George Clooney. He had a movie called Confessions of a Dangerous Mind that came out around the same time, and they had some screenings in London around this time, so maybe George Clooney is good at giving licky palm to a lady called Carol R. So if this was sent to Epstein, this is Andrew already giving gossip Epstein's way. This isn't anything politically damaging, financially damaging even, which we have later, but this is just celeb gossip. We now go to the 31st of March 2003, where Andrew emails Maxwell again saying, Dear Maxwell, where have you been and what have you been up to? You've made no attempt to keep in touch recently and I'm concerned you are becoming a hermit. I would love to be able to get away from here, but with this war on, the media would go bananas if I was known to be out of the country while the war was on. The war is 2003, so probably referring to the Iraq war here. I'm becoming frustrated by this slight caging. I've just sent the girls off to their mother for a couple of weeks for holiday, and I've made provisions for spending time with them away, but now the circumstances force me to be here, and I'm home alone for a couple of weeks. Anyway, Sending you masses of love and hope to see you soon. A brackets frustrated. XXX. The way this guy emails is so cringeworthy, and it's gonna get more cringeworthy, trust me. I honestly, just all the stereotypes about a spoiled, rotten prince are just there, aren't they? You can just tell by the way he emails that this guy is the worst guy. He sucks. He would absolutely suck to hang out with. We have a reply from Maxwell that says, I love you and think of you very often. I'm flying to LSJ today from PB in the helicopter. I'll call you with the sat phone. The good news is that I'll be in London for a week alone, and I would love to spend some time with you. Call you later. You are my best friend. I think this just highlights how like close their relationship actually is. As much as Andrew later tried to distance himself from Epstein and Maxwell, it's very clear at this time they are really, really close friends, if not best friends. We then go to the 11th of April 2004. We have more plans of Andrew coming across to the States and wanting to meet up with Maxwell. And in September 2005, we have more travel plans where Andrew asks, will you be organising eternal flights in the US? Showing clearly that Andrew visited the number of homes that we know Epstein had. The ranch in New Mexico, his townhouse in New York, and of course the island. After 2005, we then have a huge gap between communications between Andrew and either Maxwell or Epstein. 2005, this year is significant because in March 2005, Palm Beach police began investigating Epstein after allegations that he paid a 14-year-old girl for sexual activity. And in 2007, Epstein got that secret plea deal organized by Alexander Acosta. Avoiding the federal charges could have meant he spent life in prison. Instead, he got 18 months. Make it make sense. And after about 3 months in jail, Epstein was allowed to leave 12 hours a day for 6 days a week for special work activities. In July 2009, after serving about 13 months in prison, Epstein was released and put on house arrest for a further year. So now Epstein's out and he's under house arrest from July 2009. We get emails back, and we have emails between Epstein and Andrew this time. Now, rather hilariously, from February 2010, Sarah Ferguson, Andrew's ex-wife, sends Jeffrey Epstein an invite to Andrew's birthday party. Now, obviously, Epstein under house arrest cannot attend. One of Andrew's office members follows up and asks Epstein for an RSVP, and Epstein simply replies that he cannot attend. Now, on the 15th of April 2010, Epstein still being under house arrest, he emails Andrew trying to connect him with Jess Stanley, head of JPM Investment Bank, who later became CEO of Barclays. More on Jess in a little while, as he's going to be quite important to this story. On the 17th of May 2010, we have an email Andrew sent to David Stern. Stern forwarded this email to Epstein. It mentioned some kind of deal involving the Green Park Group, who I couldn't find any info on online, to be honest. My guess is that they're some kind of private investment firm. Andrew goes on to say, I know you will have spoken to the guru. It might be that he and you are the ghost for me in the upside of this entity. My guess here is the guru is Epstein himself, and the deal seems very shady considering the fact that Andrew is looking for some kind of ghost investor and he's soliciting Epstein and David Stern to do this for him. David Stern is a bit of a mystery, but he appears over 8,000 times in the Epstein files. In some of the other emails, he often calls Epstein boss. And in one email, he writes, I wish to stay in the background / hidden. I just make arrangements. I think he's some kind of businessman that works alongside Epstein, facilitating deals for him, maybe even works for Epstein. On the 18th of May 2010, we have more talk on Jess Stanley. Andrew notifies Jeffrey Epstein that they'll be meeting in a week's time, and Jeffrey Epstein says he wants to talk to Andrew before this happens. A few weeks later, we have Andrew reporting that he had a great meeting with Jess, and they will keep in touch. Later that day, Andrew follows up and says to Epstein, you should know that I was seeing David Rowland, my trusted money man, who you know from a long time ago. He saw Hugo Swire, the Minister of State Northern Ireland, about some savings and loan problems in Northern Ireland, prior to me going around to see him. But Hugo Swire asked him a very direct question about whether or not I was still seeing you. David played a very dead hand, but David said he was surprised at the question when he told me. He also said in nearly the same breath that Peter Mandelson wouldn't be getting any favours from this government. Just thought you should know. So already here we have Andrew spilling political information to Epstein. Peter Mandelson is a prominent figure in the UK Labour Party and was recently had to step down from his role as a US ambassador here in the UK for the government because of his implications with Jeffrey Epstein. He was also arrested for suspicion of misconduct in public office. The same offence Andrew has been arrested for. Spoiler alert if you didn't already know, but we'll get to that. It also seems from this email that Andrew's obviously very aware that his relationship with Epstein is questionable, to say the least, as one of his friends reports from another person asking them, is Andrew still friends with Epstein? So, I think it's very clear that he's aware that it's a touchy relationship. On the 14th of June 2010, Epstein emails Andrew saying, if you can find time to show Jess around with Redacted, that would be fun. He told me he ran into you tonight. Andrew asks, who is Redacted? Epstein replies saying, a great friend of mine, very pretty, Redacted's email address. She's my future ex-wife. I know Jess and she would love to see home. Andrew then replies, no response from your future ex. I emailed her this morning, but I suspect it went into her junk email folder. I'm having dinner with Jess tomorrow evening. So not only is he an absolute pest, he's also a begging for girls' attentions, as Epstein replies, why are you spamming beautiful Russians? Anyway, her email is down, her phone number is redacted, she's expecting your call. I can't get over the horrible grammar and spelling that Epstein actually uses. The grammar is awful. It's awful. How were people swindled by this man? Around a month after this email exchange, on the 22nd of July 2010, Epstein is free from house arrest. And a few days later, we see email correspondence between Epstein and Andrew. Epstein emails Andrew saying, I will be in Paris starting tomorrow. And Andrew comes back straight away saying, congratulations, Redacted told me you were allowed out from yesterday. How long in Paris for? I'm back in London from the 16th. Now, obviously, this goes against everything that he said in his Newsnight interview, saying that he cut a contact with Epstein after he found out he was convicted. No, instead, he's emailing the day after his release, congratulating him on being released for child sex offences. Epstein replies to Andrew saying, I'm totally and completely done. We'll be in Paris for a while, then the ranch in New Mexico. There is so much opportunity here, lie and non-stop all-day meetings, and my friends are super flush with cash and nothing to do. Let's get moving, i.e. Leon Black is sitting with $20 billion and hungry for deals. Andrew replies, really, really good news. If you're in Paris around the 16th, I'll be across to pay homage to your new life ahead. And as far as things to do, I have with Redacted a good brain to make things happen, even looking at purchases from government up to £3 billion each. Now, Leon Black, that was mentioned in that thread, I just couldn't help but think of Curbed Your Enthusiasm. But it seems Leon Black is actually an American investment banker, former chairman of the Apollo Global Management Group. On the 28th of July 2010, we have another email David Stern forwards to Epstein. It involves a bunch of deals that Andrew is trying to broker with a new character, Terrence Allen, who seems like he's an investment banker of Allied Investment Partners in Abu Dhabi. And these deals look dodgy, to say the least. We have a deal about an Indian company buying Aston Martin. We have a £3 billion loan from Abu Dhabi to Libya, who at the time was controlled by Colonel Gaddafi. And in the email, we actually have Andrew simply referring to Gaddafi as the Colonel. There's a deal between different banks in the UAE and some private oil deal involving China. And at the end of the email here, we have some information involving a character called S, which would be Sarah Ferguson, aka Fergie, Andrew's ex-wife. They talk about how much debt she's in. It says 170k of personal debts they mentioned that she's in this email. And Andrew also says a remaining dozen are big ones and corporate in nature. So Fergie actually had a lot of financial troubles at the time. It was quite well documented. In May 2010, she was caught in a sting operation by a British tabloid, News of the World. An undercover reporter posed as a businessman who wanted access to Prince Andrew. Fergie said she would assist with introductions for £500,000. She was caught on camera accepting £40,000 as a down payment. The News of the World published the footage and it caused immediate scandal. It clearly showed that she was under immense financial pressure. She had many failed business ventures in the past. She had a very expensive lifestyle that she couldn't afford, and she would just rely on loans from banks and even friends and family. I know you think it's weird, ex-wife, they're still involved. They were actually divorced in 96, but they clearly remain close because this is nearly 15 years later, and Andrew's still willing to help Fergie out with financial problems, which comes up again later on in these emails. So yeah, it's important. I'm mentioning it for a reason. In August 2010, Epstein emails Andrew saying, "I have a friend who I think you might enjoy having dinner with. Her name is redacted. She will be in London the 20th to the 24th. Of course, I'm in Geneva until the morning of the 22nd, but would be delighted to see her. Will she be bringing a message from you?" Epstein then simply replies with her contact info, and Andrew asks for more info about the woman, and Epstein says, "She's 26, Russian, clever, beautiful, trustworthy, and she has your email." Maybe a bit old for Andrew, but he seems eager to meet. He quickly replies, "That was quick. How are you? Good to be free?" Epstein replies, redacted, "Great to be free of many things." Andrew then says, "So many opportunities that I'm frustratingly not allowed to participate in, and so many that are obvious but can't get anyone to fire on. Must come and see you sometime soon." Not really sure if he's talking business here or other opportunities, but either way, it sounds maybe not completely moral and potentially not legal. On the 9th of September 2010, Epstein notifies Andrew that he will be in London. And then on the 26th of that month, Andrew says, "Looking forward to seeing you on Monday. Where are you staying? And do you want to come to Buckingham Palace to catch up first and then go out for dinner somewhere? What are your plans?" Epstein says he's still in New York and the United Nations attendees are delaying his trip. But Andrew, like the desperate friend he is, says, "My idea, when you will be coming over, if at all, just need to see if I'm going to be here." Epstein confirms, "See you tomorrow night for dinner. I'll be in the morning." Andrew responds saying, "Great, where do you want to go? Private at BP or out in a private room or in a restaurant? Do you want company? And if so, have you got any in mind?" BP being Buckingham Palace here. It's crazy bizarre to me that Andrew's just casually inviting Epstein to Buckingham Palace. I mean, there's photos of him there. Definitely photos of Ghislaine Maxwell there. So like, I guess it's his mum's house, so I guess you can just invite people there, but I don't know. Seems surreal. But again, shows how close these guys really were. Epstein then gets back the next day saying, "I'm in London. When would you like to see me? We also need to have private time." Andrew says, "I'm just departing Scotland. Should be down by 6. I'll ring when I'm down, and if you can give me a number to ring. Alternatively, we could have dinner at Buckingham Palace. Lots of privacy." Jeffrey Epstein confirms he wants to have dinner at Buckingham Palace. A couple of days later, Epstein says, "G is here with me," G being Ghislaine. "I'm meeting with Eduardo at Kiprani at 1. What are you doing?" Andrew responds saying, "Sadly, can't have lunch for Saudi Prince and then out to a secret intelligence firm. Free from 4 before G comes to me at 5. "Should I come there at 4 or where?" said Jeffrey. And Andrew says, "Delighted for you to come here to BP. Come with whomever and I'll be here from 4ish to 8. Again, crazy. He's actually now inviting strangers to Buckingham Palace. Come here with whomever. I just can't believe it. It's a bit surreal. I think some of the most frustrating things about reading these emails is like, yeah, okay, we can get a good judgment and plan out the timeline of when they met, how many times they met, but we don't get those conversations that they had when they were together. There's actually a moment a little bit later on that you're about to see that they arrange a call, and it's very obvious that call is like something very, very important. We don't quite get the full details, and that's really annoying. If only all of their calls were recorded, which I wouldn't be surprised if they have that on file somewhere, but I'm sure we will never get to hear them. Then on the 1st of October, Andrew emails Jeffrey Epstein about a dinner with our banker David Rowland as they discuss Chinese investment deals. Then about a week later, we have emails between the two planning another trip involving Asia. And at the end of the same month, we have them talking about a character called Sheikh Hamad and them creating some kind of contact between Epstein and the Sheikh. Then in November 2010, we have them discussing that they want to call each other. They want to talk on the phone about some Libyan contact. And Andrew mentions that Libya is fixed and then follows up saying, call me whenever. On the 26th of November 2010, we have yet another arranged meeting in New York. It's around this time when these infamous photos of Andrew were taken in Central Park, basically confirming before the Epstein file release that Andrew had indeed had relations with Epstein post his original conviction. On the 28th of that month, they're finalizing airport pickup details when Andrew asks, just one last question from me, what sort of clothes will I need to bring? I.e., will I need to bring something for the heat in case we go south, or will it all be in New York, so therefore cold? I guess he's wanting to know if he's going to go to the island to do some noncing, but Epstein says it will be mostly cold. We'll go south for a few days, but that would mean a bathing suit and an easy shirt. These guys actually talk like dorks. They're fully losers. On the 30th of November 2010, we have yet another new character, John O'Sullivan. John O'Sullivan served as one of Prince Andrew's senior members of staff, a private secretary, and he likely was owed money by Fergie. Again, as we're about to see, Epstein is going to help Fergie out a little bit with this one. The email contains a breakdown of an invoice for unpaid work by John O'Sullivan. The email is from Amanda Thirsk, who is the deputy private secretary to the Duke of York at the time. Andrew and Amanda go back and forth on the issues, and then all the information at the end is forwarded to Epstein. Weird, peculiar, I know, but more on this later. I remember earlier that deal we had with oil and China. Well, again, we have more information on this deal here. It's a deal with a company called Area Petroleum, and it involves a £3 billion deal for revenue for oil across Asia. Now, scouring the web, it's hard to find anything about the company involved in Area Petroleum. It seems they're partnered with a company called Concord Investment Partners Holdings. There's very little online footprint for both of these entities. However, according to a report by the BBC, it shows the companies are part-owned by a company called Governor Group Limited, which is a company owned by Gennady Timchenko. Timchenko is a close friend of Vladimir Putin and is described by the US Treasury as a Kremlin puppet. So again, more information here that I don't think Andrew really cares about who he's doing business with. But yeah, has he ever cared about anything? We're going to see again further down the video that he doesn't care about anyone but himself. On the 13th of December, we have Epstein emailing Andrew requesting to speak to him, assuming it's about all the business deals that are flying around during this time. And on Christmas Eve, we have a further email from Andrew sent to Epstein with an attachment to a document called Helmand Investment Opportunities Brief Final. Andrew says, I'm going to offer this elsewhere in my network, including Abu Dhabi, but would be very interested in your comments, views, and ideas as to whom I could usefully show this to attract some interest. I have sadly already found out the Gates Foundation don't do anything in Afghanistan. This is again some investment opportunity that he has, and he's abusing his power as a role of trade envoy. He's perhaps sending classified information to Epstein here, and if Epstein was actually intelligence, like many believe, then this is a massive national security concern for the UK. On the 29th of December, we go back to John O'Sullivan, where Epstein says he was trying to call John O'Sullivan, and Andrew just asks, has he answered the phone yet? And on the 1st of January 2011, Andrew sends Epstein a Happy New Year message and more questions about John O'Sullivan, getting him to sign some document. Epstein replies saying, already done. No nice Happy New Year message from Epstein. This shows the way that Jeffrey Epstein conducts his relationships. It's all about what he gets out of it. There's no niceties. It seems like everything is serving a purpose for him. Maybe he's helping Andrew out with this personal thing, and his thread is beginning to run bare with Andrew, perhaps. We go through the next few days, the 17th and the 19th of January, with more talk on John O'Sullivan. And Andrew mentions, so Johnny signs, I pay him $31,680. He then deals with you, RE, the balance and the Columbia payment, and that is something you and he will have to sort out between you. Hope this can be fixed. Here, it just looks like we have Epstein helping Andrew and Fergie out with personal finances. On the 21st of Feb 2011, we have Epstein sending Andrew an email saying, I understand that a photo of you and I is front page New York Post. Let's talk today. This is that infamous photo from earlier that showed the meeting in New York. The next day, we have more correspondence over John O'Sullivan, Sarah Ferguson's ex-employee. Andrew mentions, I'm only trying to find a way to solve his problem so S can continue with her life. Now, a few days later on the 25th, it gets really juicy. Ghislaine forwards an email to Epstein, to Mr. Epstein. Miss Maxwell invited Mr. Epstein, Prince Andrew, and Miss Redacted to your London home where Prince Andrew had sex with Redacted. Miss Maxwell was present on the subsequent occasion in a room called the office at Mr. Epstein's New York residence when Redacted met the prince and subsequently went upstairs and had sex with him. My deadline for this article was Saturday the 26th of February around 4 p.m. London time. With best regards. So it seems like this is probably an email from a Daily Mail journalist who was going to print the story along with the photo of Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre. She's just simply here asking Epstein and Maxwell for a response, which I'm sure at this stage they didn't have one. So the following day, the news would drop along with the photo of Prince Andrew with Virginia Giuffre from 2001. And there would be a subsequently barrage of emails that would follow this news being dropped as we can follow their live reaction. We don't have access to attachments or links here, but I'm assuming Epstein would have linked the article here as he says, sorry. On a more positive note, Jess Stanley will be in London on the next Tuesday afternoon if you have time. So again, Epstein is just brushing off this article and this allegation, and they just begin to talk about business. But let's see Andrew's response. Andrew says, good morning from a very dull London. I'm afraid I haven't read any of the Mail articles. I don't on principle, but I will be discussing with my team today any further action to be taken in light of another in today's Mail as well. Jess is coming on the 1st of March or next week. Epstein responds by asking if there's anything he can do to help, and Andrew says, we had a discussion this morning and we are somewhat at a loss of how to deal with this, as it is now innuendo rather than substantive allegations, notwithstanding anything false they have said about you or Ghislaine. We are having discreet discussions with the Press Complaints Commission, but don't hold out much hope for a sensible. We will be writing a lawyer's letter to the Mail Group again upon the accuracy and innuendo failures. This is a regular thing and has to be done to register our displeasure. No one over here has even sparked at the story over here, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, this is what we have come to expect of the poor editorial standards and poor journalism of the Mail Group. Most people here sadly just raise their shoulders and shrug, saying this is just the Mail again. However, if you have any suggestions, they are gratefully received. Andrew here seems like he's just dismissing this story. It's quite clear they're panicking a little bit, maybe even sweating.
I don't sweat.
But it seems like Andrew's brushing it off, that it's going to be fine. I've dealt with this before. I've dealt with worse before. This will be fine. It won't come of anything. But of course it will. Epstein says, the press is piling on me in the States. Nothing to do. Just want to make sure you're okay. I'm just as concerned for you. Don't worry about me. It would seem we are in this together and we'll have to rise above it. Let me know if you want me to deal with the J wages. Otherwise, keep in close touch and we'll play some more soon. That is disgusting. This guy they've just had news leaked about them that he's had a scandalous sexual relationship. All they want to talk about is the business. They want to get back to the business deals that they have to pay some guy off. And Andrew closes by saying, play some more soon. After literally being accused of sexual deviancy, it's just the audacity. It shows how he thinks he's above the law, like he has been his whole life. He was raised with extreme privilege and he just has no self-awareness at all. Yes, he said he would take 60k in wages, pay tax and be done. I don't trust him at all, and a payment from me at the moment, if disclosed to the press, would look like a payoff for the little shit. Andrew says, so I should get it paid by someone else? Epstein says, yes. This is weird. Perhaps John O'Sullivan is also blackmailing them both, and that's why they're talking like this. I don't know. But Epstein actually later replies saying, I'm also getting a statement from the judge in another of redacted sex allegations that says she lacks credibility. Should have that this afternoon. I believe redacted here is probably Virginia Giuffre. But Epstein follows up with an attachment that unfortunately I can't see, I don't have access to. And it does say Virginia S. sex allegations. The last page 20, states that the state attorney said she lacked credibility. So here, Andrew's just been accused of sex allegations, and they're just trying to like defame this woman, defraud her, and say that she lacks credibility. Just not, again, just so above the law, just not taking anything seriously whatsoever. Now, interestingly, a few months later, in March 2011, we have the very first blunt email that Andrew sends to Epstein. Throughout this video, we've seen videos that Epstein sends that are very blunt and straight to the point. But Andrew has always been pally and clearly trying to like gain some appraisal from Epstein. It's like a loser kid that's been accepted to the cool table at lunch, and he's playing up to them. That's what Andrew's coming across like in most of these emails. But this email from March, the 1st of March 2011, first blunt email from Andrew, simply says, "Call me please." Now, it's clear things have got desperate with the blunt email, and this is interestingly the last email we see between Andrew and Epstein. So it's clearly whatever they spoke about on the phone here, perhaps Andrew was breaking up with Epstein and he actually cut ties for good in March 2011 because he realized that the heat was too much. But I wouldn't be surprised if he found a different route of communication with Epstein, saying, oh, maybe we only stick to calls now, they can't be tracked as much, or oh, reach me on this different phone number that can't be traced, or this different email that can't be traced. So who actually knows if this is when their communication ended? But this is the last email we have between them both in the files. But this isn't the last relevant email involving Andrew in the files. July 2011, later on that year, we have an unknown person emailing Jeffrey Epstein saying, "Lots of TV coverage on PA and always big features on you, insane." PA, of course, being Prince Andrew. Epstein replies to this person saying, "I assume he knows that this is Charles's doing." Now, this would have been in response to Andrew stepping down as trade envoy as the media pressure was mounting. And Charles is the king now, Andrew's brother. So Epstein here is basically alleging that Charles, the now king, was responsible for making Andrew step down. As I said earlier in the video, I don't want to get too accusational here because what we've got just reading out the emails straight give us like a huge amount of facts just in our faces. We don't need to speculate too much, but we have this other email from a character called Brian Miller, who I assume is reporting a crime he has had done to him. And he says, back in the 90s, Ghislaine Maxwell recruited a girl for a modeling career. Instead of modeling, she was sold as a slave for sex and torture. Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he tortured her and me to force her murder. Now, again, I don't want to get to jumping to conclusions, but this is a crazy statement to make. I will also mention that in the end of this email, it's signed off by saying, "I need to get a passport to identify her. I will need someone to contact the passport office to get an expedited passport." I don't know if that's this guy making the allegation, saying he needs a passport to confirm this evidence, but it is a crazy statement and a crazy allegation to make nonetheless. I don't want to add too much weight to it. We simply don't know, but it involves Prince Andrew and it's in the Epstein files, so I'm mentioning it. So with no more emails, I'm going to jump forward to 2019, where Prince Andrew did their famous Pizza Express in Woking, no sweat, Newsnight interview.
We're staying at the house of a convicted sex offender.
It was a convenient place to stay.
Where he thought that would dramatically change the public opinion of him and he had a chance to defend himself, but it really had the opposite effect. It really brought the story to the front of the public spotlight, and everyone who watched it, which was a large percentage of the country, thought the man was an idiot. He was stripped of all his royal titles, but obviously still gets to live in all the fancy homes that the taxpayers pay for. And he's actually still in line for the throne as well if the succession in front of him was to die. And in February 2022, Andrew made an out-of-court settlement with Virginia Giuffre. He ended up paying her a total of £12 million to a girl that he didn't sexually assault. The settlement itself has also had loads of public scrutinies around it. Reports suggest that Queen Elizabeth II actually paid £2 million from her own private funds to help Andrew. And recent developments, unfortunately, after her recent... There's been reports that the funds have been frozen and her family aren't going to see a penny more. In 2026, earlier this year, he was arrested by the Thames Valley Police on suspicion of misconduct in public office for the confidential sharings of all this financial information that we've been through in this video. Who knows what the future holds for Prince Andrew, whether it's in a jail cell or getting to live on a royal estate paid for by the taxpayer for the rest of his life.
I don't sweat